Welcome back to the news at 10. Indonesia has asked foreign embassies to send representatives to a maximum security prison ahead of the expected execution of 10 drug convicts, although an official 72-hour notice has not yet been given. Among the convicted drug offenders set to face the firing squad are nationals from Nigeria, Australia, Brazil and France. Security was heightened on Friday at the prison island where the executions will take place. It was not immediately clear why the representatives from the 4 countries had been summoned. A police spokesman said orders to prepare the firing squad had not yet come from the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General has been waiting for all the legal processes of the 10 death row inmates to be completed before announcing an execution date. Lawyers were scrambling to various Indonesian courts in a last-ditch attempt to delay the execution. But the only outstanding appeal considered still valid by the Attorney General was for an Indonesian national. Indonesia has harsh punishments for drug crimes and resumed executions in 2013 after a 5-year gap. 6 executions have been carried out so far this year. Now, President Jacob Zuma today held a closed-door meeting with various foreign national groups, as well as African civil society groups in South Africa. Now, this comes in the wake of the recent spate of xenophobic attacks in the country. The groups had a chance to discuss underlying issues affecting most migrant groups in their adopted communities, as well as their relationships with local citizens. Just 2 days ago, the President and various government departments held a meeting with the country's migration policy at the center. Our correspondent Betty Dibia reports.
President Jacob Zuma, flanked by his ministers, came to speak and listen to the foreign national groups. The media was soon sent off till much later.
I'm very happy and satisfied that we had this meeting, because this meeting has been very useful for us to understand the thinking of those who deal with these people on a daily basis, who also know their concerns and complaints. And I think they've been able to represent the African diaspora very well. And therefore we now know what are the issues and what needs to be done.
For us, Your Excellency, is that this meeting has achieved one of the most important aspects, that instead of government to government bilateral, we are here to deal with these issues of xenophobia. And if we are included in the committees that we're talking about, both at higher level and at community level, we're going to play our part.
He was condemning the attack and also saying we need to assist them, because they are coming from a very long way, and they still have that, some of the people still have this struggle spirit, you know. That's why we're seeing all this thing that is happening.
Unfortunately, the Nigerian Union number 6 on the guest list for this crucial meeting did not show up for the meeting. The leadership says they were part of an anti-xenophobia march, which took place also here in Pretoria this afternoon. But for more than 5 hours, President Jacob Zuma listened and spoke to the various foreign national groups, and they say the discussions were much deeper than they're used to. But for those here, from here, they believe that there is hope for progress with the keywords tolerance, dialogue and working together, especially with government. From the Sefago Mahato Presidential Guest House in Pretoria, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
To health now, millions of Nigerian children and indeed African children now have a chance of being protected from malaria if ongoing final clinical vaccines trials are successful. The test, which has already been carried out on 16,000 children from 7 African countries, found that booster doses are of limited use, but children aged between 5 to 17 months were given 3 doses of the vaccine, and it was 46% effective. Scientists have been working on this vaccine for more than 20 years, but observers believe there's still a long way to go. Professor Brian Greenwood at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine says the result from the trials is a little disappointing. He said, quote, "I hope the vaccine will be more effective. The malaria parasite has a complicated life cycle, and it has learned how to invade the immune system over hundreds of years," end of quote. The vaccinations took place in 11 sites across Burkina Faso, Gabon, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, and Tanzania. Hello and welcome to Business News. The to-do list for the president-elect keeps growing. This time, consumer goods manufacturers are asking General Muhammadu Buhari to come up with policies that would revive the nation's industrial sector. According to FBN analyst reports released today, senior executives of industrial firms request the incoming president to appoint an industrialist to head the Ministry of Trade and Industry and regularly consult the organized private sector before changing laws. They also urged General Buhari to implement the Onosaye report on fiscal savings and reduce the number of ministries, departments and agencies. Other areas of their request list include a focus on technical skills for entry into the manufacturing sector, power, general infrastructure deficits which prevents their competitiveness in the global export markets. And the National Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NACCIMA, has called on the incoming administration to sustain the reform programs of the outgoing government. While setting the agenda for the incoming president, the chamber also frowned on the unfavorable effects of the major macroeconomic variables on the businesses of its members. Our correspondent Temple Ashaju reports.
With a long list of macroeconomic concerns, members of the Nigeria Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, also known as NACCIMA, gather here to lament the negative impact of the economic conditions on their businesses. President of the Chamber, Basi Edem, is the mouthpiece.
Despite several reform programs put in place by the current administration to improve the lot of the average Nigerian, there is still much to be done to tackle the Hydra-headed challenges ranging from insecurity in the country, unstable exchange rate, unemployment, unstable power supply, inflation, decline in trade volume, and devaluation of the naira.
And acknowledging the reforms effort of the outgoing administration in certain sectors, the Chamber seeks sustainability and improvement strategies from the incoming administration.
We commend the effort of the outgoing administration at revitalizing the agricultural sector through various laudable policies. We counsel that the incoming administration should, as a matter of priority, consolidate on the gains so far recorded in this sector. The country still grapples with unstable power output, which hovers between 2,700 megawatt and 3,500 megawatt, despite huge investment by government. There is need for the incoming administration to recognize the importance of power to the survival of the industries in this country.
NACCIMA says it has high expectations from the incoming administration within the shortest possible time. Its immediate past president, Mohammed Abubakar, is the next governor of Jigawa State. Temple Ashaju, Channels Business News.
The Nigerian equities market ended the week southwards amidst price volatility fueled by uncertainty concerning the policy direction of the incoming administration. The market's benchmark index slipped by 0.02% to close at 34,485.7 points. Here's Kayode Alayonde with details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Activities at the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed flat at the end of Friday's session as the market slipped 0.02%. The all-share index ended the session at 34,485.72 with a market capitalization of 11.75 trillion naira. 21 stocks appreciated in price, led by WAPCO and Unilever with gains of 2 naira apiece, followed by PZ Cussons with 1 naira 84 kobo. Investors continued to book profits off Nigerian breweries as the equity lost 2 naira to close at 151 naira. Petroleum marketing Equities, Total and Cornwall were also on the laggards list. UBA, International Energy Insurance Company, and FBN Holdings were the most actively traded to boost total volume. When stocks crossed the finish line, investors in 4,691 deals exchanged 429.10 million shares valued at 4.14 billion naira. And that's a stock market report. I'm Kayode Alayande.
Many thanks, Kayode. United Bank for Africa recorded gross earnings of 290 billion naira in the year 2014, an appreciable growth of 10% over its performance in 2013. The board's chairman, Tony Elumelu, made the remark at the bank's 53rd AGM, where shareholders also agreed with the board's recommendation of a 10 kobo dividend per share. This will allow the bank retain much of its earnings for business growth. Our correspondent Chris Ilems reports.
It's been a year of hard work as these UBA shareholders have gathered to know how their bank fared in the year under review 2014. Present are the bank's board of directors, top functionaries from within and outside of the country, as well as other bodies saddled with the task of ensuring a successful 53rd annual general meeting.
It is my pleasure to formally declare this meeting open.
With the agenda set for the day, the floor is open for further interaction as shareholders seek clarification on grey areas and on dividend to be paid out.
3,627,952,632 naira only.
With proceedings over, the bank's chairman expresses his thoughts.
And I'm happy that the performance ended well, and what I'm beginning to see in Q1 first quarter this year is very interesting. First quarter this year, EB has made close to 19 billion naira, and if you just multiply that by 4, you can tell that this year 2015 is going to even be better.
On initiative to sustain growth, the Chief Executive Officer has this to say.
We are deepening our business in Africa, and because the African countries have economies that are not driven essentially by oil, they are driven by various commodities, and each of these commodities is not necessarily positively correlated with oil. Therefore, we are looking at Africa as a very key part of our strategy.
And the shareholders are not left out.
We are happy with the profit they made, and also even their first quarter result is good.
With over 80 million shares traded today at the stock market, at a value of over 428 million naira, UBA seems set for a better 2015. Chris Ilems, Channels Television News.
Well, that's it on business news. I'm Emana Amawe. Ijoma will be back with the rest of the news in a moment. Still ahead on the news at 10. Barcelona take on old boss Pep Guardiola, Bayern Munich, and Juventus draw Real Madrid in the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League. That's all on sports. You join us again.